Hey Effects, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tandi Effect, and in today's video we are going to be talking about, as per usual, good vibes, good energy. And as you can see from the title down below, I am going to be talking about some things that you should put in consideration before moving on. This can look like before moving on after a divorce or death, because the stages of grief are literally the same. You're still going to go through the same shock. You're going to go through the same anger. You're going to go through the same bargaining. You're going to go through the same acceptance finally. So I just thought that I would share these viewpoints from my perspective, things that I've personally gone through, or maybe some trends that I have studied closely. It's very, very heavy for me because I'm currently going through it. If you're new to this channel, I lost my husband to a very sudden death last year. And yeah, it's been very hard, I will not lie. But thank God I have support from friends and family who have been comforting me, who have been helping me raise my daughter, and all the other resources that God has blessed me with that have helped me to just navigate everything. So I hope these points that I have thought about, please, and also disclaimer, I am not claiming to know it all. These are just some things that I think can be helpful for somebody. Take it with a grain of salt, because what has worked for me may not necessarily work for the next person, but trust me and believe me, this is very, very helpful. I have noticed the trends even like during divorce, and also like dealing with grieving your partner. It's very similar. These techniques can work both ways. So I want to start off by saying that the grieving process / healing process is definitely not linear. It's going to come in waves. Sometimes you can start off with acceptance and then you move backwards. That's perfectly okay. It's always important to remember to give yourself grace, and also to take everything as a learning lesson. I know it can be very difficult, especially if you feel like you've been robbed. Just remember to give yourself grace and to remember that you're trying the very best that you can, because you're going to feel like absolute shit. I'm not going to lie about that. But you know what? You're going to pull through because you're much stronger than you. I'm even choking up trying to talk. You're much stronger than you know. I think it's very important to also sit down and to self-introspect, because like I said, it's not linear. It's definitely a learning curve. It's a process. It's okay to take some time. You don't necessarily have to go seek professional help right there and then, or go seek professional help only because someone is telling you to do so, but go for your own mental health and go when you are ready. Because the thing with therapy and counseling is, before you go there, I think it's important to sit down and to self-introspect and to have a conversation essentially with yourself, a very difficult conversation, and be like, hey, what am I hoping to get out of this? Because if you don't know what type of help that you're looking for, how do you know that it's actually working, you know? So it's important to know how to have those difficult conversations. This can be a transferable skill that you can use also, because you're going to be having very difficult conversations if, let's say, in that marriage came blessings through children, or should you move on to a different partner, you're going to have very difficult conversations, very different and diverse relationships between all those people. So it's also very important to just have that skill to be able to start the conversation. Even if you're not the one that starts or initiates the conversation, just know how to navigate it, because you need to know when to meet people where they're at. I think that's very, very helpful when it comes to communication. Just because you are ready to have the conversation does not mean that your child is ready to have that conversation, or the new partner that you're with is ready to have that conversation. Learn to meet people where they're at. That is the best way you can have the best outcomes out of whatever conversation that you're going to have. I don't know how new you are to this channel, my dear, but back then I was like, absolutely not. I am not going to date a man that has any baby mama. I don't need that stress. But now, with the way my life is set up, I know this can look like double standards, but this is how my life is set up. No one goes into a marriage expecting the worst. No one goes into a marriage expecting that their partner is going to die or that it's going to end up in divorce. You always think that everything's going to work out well, but unfortunately, life happens. That's just the reality of things. So, having known that, having realized that now at 29 years old, I was blessed to have that piece of my late husband on this earth through my baby, and my baby is now my priority. Now, I've heard several horror stories where someone moves on to a new partner. Maybe it's a woman that's getting married to another man, or a man who's married another woman, and that other partner just does not love your children. They just treat your children badly to the point where you're like, hey, I cannot do this. Y'all cannot live under the same roof. I'm going to take my children out and go leave them in some other family. You are the primary caregiver. Let's just stop right there. You are now the sole parent of this child. Yes, this person that you're marrying is also going to be their mother or their father, but Oksalayo, why are you even, marrying someone who does not love your child? Your child is a huge part of you. And I don't know, that's just where I'm at in life now. This is not even up for debate. My child is not going anywhere. If you don't love my child, red flag, you gotta go, baby. That's not even up for discussion. So please, no. Let's just say it ended in divorce and you are the parent that stayed. You are the parent that did not move out of the house. And I am a firm believer that the children should never know mommy and daddy's business, right? Always protect your children from all of that, because sometimes it can be messy. It can really be messy, especially if you haven't set those boundaries or if you just don't know how to navigate those difficult conversations. Take a walk, go see your lawyer and talk things through away from the children. I want you to understand that it's going to be very, very difficult, especially as the children start to grow older. There can be a lot of misdirected anger, especially towards you, the parent that stayed. I want you to know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to go seek professional help. Go talk to a therapist. I don't know what your beliefs are. Maybe a Christian, or you want to go seek help from like a religious leader. It's perfectly okay. Maybe there's a family member that you trust, or a friend that can be a mediator between you and the child. That's also perfectly fine. Or you can go seek professional help. There's so many child, youth, family therapists out there and social workers as well, who are more than happy and who are trained to handle such situations. So it's okay to seek help. Do not be afraid. You are not failing as a parent. If this is happening, you are doing the absolute best that you can. In fact, going to seek help outside is you being a very good parent, because sometimes, not even sometimes, you are not an island. You need help. That's just the bottom line. So go seek help, go to therapy with your baby. Everything's going to be okay. In most cases, the older they get, the more they will realize that the parent that actually stayed sometimes was actually just doing the very best that they could with whatever they had. And this parent that left is the one that's just like, why did you leave, And they'll realize things the older that they get. Just be calm. The truth will unveil itself. That's the honest truth. I am speaking from personal experiences and also from things that I've, seen. Give it time. The truth always comes to light. If you're going to co-parent, for example, or God forbid, there's now death and you're the remaining sole parent, I think it's important to set boundaries. Set boundaries, especially between baby moms, baby daddies. Set boundaries as the remaining sole parent with your child. Yeah. Need I say more? It's okay. Set boundaries. It's actually very healthy to do so, because life will completely change. Now that this has happened, things will change. The dynamic and their family roles will drastically change. So I think it's okay to set boundaries so that we know how to deal with certain things as they come up, I would like to recommend a book that I find really, really helpful, especially when it comes to blended families. This book is by Dr. Kevin Kleeman, and it is called Living in a Step Family Without Getting Stepped On. And I quote from the author: "When two families unite, they do not blend, they collide." To parents that are coming together, how to navigate parenting a child that is not biologically your own, as well as to help your children to just process their feelings and to also help them understand, the difference and the change in the birthing order, because sometimes the children can actually be the same age, or one is older than the other or younger than the other, whatever the case may be. So it's important to have those conversations and to know how to handle those situations. Like I said earlier on in the video, it is important to know how to meet people where they're at, so that you can better navigate these things, because it is going to get very difficult. There are going to be lots of conversations, sitting down, communication that's going to be happening. Find a mediator if you feel like it's a bit too heavy, or you just are unable or unfit to do it. It's perfectly okay. You are not failing as a parent, trust me. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is definitely not a sign of weakness. It's actually a strength. Being able to open up about whatever is bothering you and to seek help is actually a huge strength, because not only is your mental health going to be better, but you're going to also become the best version of yourself, so that you can show up for yourself and for your child and for your partner as well. So I hope you all found these strategies helpful. I tried to be as quick and concise as I could, given the fact that I sometimes derail. These are just the things that I've been thinking about, especially, with everything that I'm going through. And I believe this is just my own personal thought. You moving on is not, how do I say this? Like, the thoughts are there in my head, but putting it into words, I struggle with, because I know these are very uncomfortable or uncharted waters that I'm treading on, and I don't want to make people feel a certain way. But really and truly, again, I'm going to say it just in case I didn't say it, I do not know it all. These are just things that I have found helpful in the past year, and also like just overall in my life, because like I said, just studying trends of like blended families and also my own situation moving forward, how I hope to do things. Also praying. I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. Leave it all up to God. What was I trying to say? Yeah. Just because you have moved on to this new partner does not mean that you love them any less than you did your first partner or your initial partner, your ex, whatever. That was a learning experience. You were a different person with that person. You're a different person now that you're with somebody else. And I think it's also very important to just like talk to them about that, because I understand, especially if they've never been married. Because like I said, I was just one of those girlies. So I was like, no, I don't know how I feel about being with someone who's got kids or whatever. But yeah, I have a tendency as well of like wanting to make other people's problems my own, which says you've got your own issues to deal with, but I cannot help it. But I guess just like a coping mechanism, something that I find to be helpful is just to reassure your partner, because sometimes they can think about these things like, hey, am I going to be as fit a parent for this child like the initial parent could have been? I guess it also applies like when the parent is still alive, like your ex. There's always going to be that thing, because we have like a competitive streak in us. Just so long as you're kind and you're loving to this child, you never know. As a step parent, you can actually be the father figure or the mother figure to this child more than the biological parent. This has happened time and time again. So it's always important to have those conversations. Like I said earlier, be honest with yourself as well as your partner. Express your feelings, express exactly how you feel. That way you can be able to navigate things. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it helpful. And also, if you have any other giveaways or takeaways, please feel free to comment down below. Maybe someone can actually find them very helpful. So maybe I didn't touch on something that you might think is very helpful. Please leave it down in the comment section down below and let's engage.